Before we start the show, Nigeria lost two great sons last night. The first was our father figure, a statesman, the legal luminary, former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chief Richard Oshiolale. He was such a great man. He was a man I drew from his wisdom. I sit with him in his house in Stanmore in England. He left us and we all mourned. May his gentle soul rest in peace. We're going to play a music in his memory. Music.
Of the glory of the Lord, He's tramping at the vintage where the grapes of the storm. He used the faithful lightning and He carried by His soul. He was marching on. Glory, hallelujah.
Early this morning, I received calls, frantic calls from friends who told me our friend and brother, Chief Williams and Momodu, the man we all call Papi Willie, chairman of Globe Motor, had died. I quickly placed calls to impeccable sources which we know and have details. And I understood that people were already discussing facts. So I had to personally do a statement after getting details. It's sad because for us, he was a young man, but he was a jolly good fellow. He was friends of everybody. I've just called his wife, his widow in London, media group, to his widow, to his children, and to his family at large. Including my dear sister in devastated. Please remember her and the children, your prayers. May Papi Willie's soul rest in peace. And we'll play music and then we'll start our show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me clear?
Yes,
can you can hear me because I'm hearing something.
There's a piece of interruption in the line.
Yes, I don't know where it is coming from.
I think it's coming from your end.
from here, I don't know, but I can hear you clearly.
That's fine then.
We have to switch off a lot of gadgets. Yeah, there are too many gadgets. We've been working all day. We have to do a lot of research today so that they can go very well. Anyone who has been on my Instagram page would have noticed that we did a lot of work. So good evening, Ghana. I'm meeting you live from Lagos, the heart of Africa, Africa's biggest mega city, Lagos. And I have the honor and pleasure of speaking to my friend, my sister, my godmother, wife of my godfather, Alhaji Abdullah. Yes, who was once upon a time one of the biggest shipping markets in Africa. So you are welcome on my show, the Dele Momodu Instagram live. Thank you. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
I'm BAABA-BANDA, wife of Alhaji ASOMA-BANDA. I'm a mother to two lovely girls, and we've been friends for a good number of years. And it's a pleasure for me to be on the show today to share my experiences with other women who might find it comforting and encouraging. So I hope at the end of the show, I will be able to, give some encouragement and motivation to women who find themselves in a similar situation today.
Thank you very much. I'm sure they are watching and listening. So before we carry on, we have loads of music today because we want to entertain my friends, my good friends in Ghana. So we have the first one for you, and it's from I have a special request for you. So
Okay.
This is Fela Anikulapo Kuti. She go say, I believe you. African woman no go gree. African woman no go gree. She go say, I believe you. If you call a woman, African woman no go gree. She go say, I believe you. She go say, I believe you. She go say, I believe you. She go say, I no be woman. She go say, I believe you. She go say, market woman, woman. She go say, I believe you. She go say, market woman, na woman. She go say, I believe you. She go say, market woman, na woman. She go say, I believe you. 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 She go say, Fantastic. An African woman is always in Nigeria. We say Kusafo Ghana that Ghanaian women don't ever get old. What is the secret of beauty? Because I know a lot of ladies will say they don't like people in their age, but in your case, you don't mind. You are 59, going on 60, I believe.
Yes. Hopefully next year, January, will be my 6th year.
Your 6th year. Okay. We're looking forward. So 19 years ago, I met you in Ghana during your 40th birthday. Before then, you already married to Alhaji ASOMA-BANDA. Can you tell us how you met Alhaji and how it all started? For me, it's always interesting to see a much younger lady man that know that person. And you are both in love. I'm always in your house. I haven't seen such magic, before. So please tell us a bit about how you met, how you courted, and everything.
Well, we met in London. A friend of mine knew Alhaji, so he came visiting, and that's when we met. I didn't really think we would get married, but one thing led to the other, and eventually, after 2 years of courtship, we got married. It's been a glorious marriage. Alhaji is a very good man, and I just believe probably we were meant to meet. And the issue of a younger lady getting married to an older man has always been an issue with a lot of people. First thing that comes to mind is, the man is a wealthy man, so obviously she's accepted to be with him because of his money. And most times that's what is perceived. But even though he's Ghanaian, I never knew Alhaji. And I only got to know who he was when we started seeing each other. We met. But over the years, I've realized that we just had to meet. And we met. And we're still here. After 28, 29 years of marriage, we're still here. Yeah.
Fantastic. He seems to be a very romantic man. He's a man I've watched at close quarter. And I wonder, if you see Alhaji, you would think he's conservative. At some point, I know he lived in Nigeria, made a lot of money in Nigeria from his shipping business. Do you think Nigeria rubbed off on him? Or how come a man who is supposed to be conservative is that he's so open? Sometimes I'll call him in the office. He will say, Dele, where are you? I say, I'm in Ghana. And he will say, are you at home? I say, yeah. And he will drive himself to my house. And we're there sitting down and chatting and playing, all the time. So please tell me a bit about your romance with Alhaji.
Alhaji, as you know, is a very simple man. Even though he made most of his money in Nigeria, that's where he started from. He still is, he's always been a very simple, down-to-earth man. And he's always one who would say, when people say, oh, he's a wealthy man, he will say, really? I'm just thankful to God that I'm able to do whatever I wish to do. I wouldn't call myself a wealthy man. And that is how he has literally molded me to be. It's like, try and just be simple. Try and be humble. You don't have to do anything to show that you are wealthy. It's not necessary. It speaks by itself. And he's also a very God-fearing man. He is a Muslim, though, but he's a staunch Muslim. And I think his upbringing also makes him realize that you need humility in life. He always says one should remember where you came from or how you got to where you are. So when you remember that, he says it always keeps you in line. So that is Alhaji, as you've always known. You know, he would literally come down to earth. He would sit with, it doesn't matter who you are. He's just comfortable with everybody. And that's the kind of person he is, you know.
I enjoy talking politics with him. I've never seen anyone who loves politics and Alhaji. Once I come into your house, you will leave and go to the kitchen and leave us there. And we're busy talking. He knows everybody in Nigeria. Everybody, from Yaradua to Babangida, everybody. You know,
he started from Nigeria. He started from Nigeria. So he has a lot of friends, business associates. And he says to me, Nigeria is like his other home.
Wow. I remember Chief Ari Akonde came at some point to visit in Ghana.
They were very good. They are very good friends. He's been a couple of times to visit us. And we've also visited him a couple of times in London as well.
Okay. Sorry, a lot of people are saying they don't know the topic. I am now speaking to Mrs. EDWINA BAABA ASOMA-BANDA in Ghana. She's a Ghanaian and married to one of the most successful businessmen in Ghana, an iconic figure, Alhaji ASOMA-BANDA, who once upon a time lived in Nigeria, made money in Nigeria, and loves Nigeria like his homeland, Ghana. So Mrs. Banda is speaking to us from Ghana. So the topic is about her life as a younger wife of a wealthy Alhaji and how their romance has been exceptionally different. You know, nobody, I mean, usually people expect tension and everything, but Alhaji is completely at home with his wife, and you would think they got married yesterday. So I just wanted her to speak about her life and what she went through, because it wasn't all bed of roses. Before we go into that, I would like to play a Ghanaian music for you. One of the ones that live. By Obo, thank you very much. And before we continue, I read that my dear friend Obo, who sang that song, also lost his father, coming from the United States of America to Ghana. I wish him, I wish that his soul will rest in peace, and I wish Obo and members of his family that God will be with them and they should take heart. Obo is a very, very good friend of mine. I remember one night he made me cry on a show on TV3, and it is titled "This Is Your Life." And I think it was, I can't remember, I think it was DJ Ice or somebody who conducted that thing. I didn't know how they arranged with Iola of Charterhouse, and they got everything ready. Obo was out of the country, but everybody knew that my favorite song was Obo's song, Koko Tiba. So they asked me, so which Ghanaian is your favorite artist? I said, oh, Obo, everybody knows Obo. But Obo, we would have brought him to perform for you live, but he's not around. So maybe when he comes back, we will arrange. And then I just said hello, and who was on the line? Obo from the US. And he sang for me that night. I cried and cried and cried like a baby. Obo, I salute you. Obo rose to become the president of Musiga, the Music Association of Ghana. He's a great friend of mine. Good evening, Obo. So, Godmother, I'm back to you. So, you got married to Alaji, and for about 12 years, you couldn't have a child. In fact, a lot of people, you know, what the people we call bad is not going to have a child, blah, blah, blah. How did you feel about all this kokonsa? Kokonsa in Ghana means gossip.
Gossip, yes. Well, first and foremost, from the beginning, it was okay. Then a couple of years passed by, and there must be so many reasons why she can't have children. She's probably had 20,001 abortions, all kinds of things like the husband might have used her for ritual purposes, a whole load of things going up and down. And this woman, she's not going to sit down and concentrate on having children. She's just around, walking all over the place, just always nicely dressed up, blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of thing. But, you know, so when I realized it, I started investigating, which would be medically, to find out what the problem was. Luckily for me, because I was able to, you know, frequent the UK, I decided to have my treatment there. And obviously, I wouldn't inform people what I was doing, but I knew that I had to do something about it. So I started looking for, going for treatment, trying to investigate what the matter was. And for some strange reason, anytime I went, they would say they couldn't find anything wrong. So we decided to embark on IVF, which was an alternative to trying to conceive. So we started. Luckily, we started with a very good doctor, probably one of the best in England. I started first, second, third, fourth. You know, after the first try, it wouldn't work. And it went on like that for a good number of times. It's a very stressful, emotional process. And usually it can be very lonely. But what can I say? I mean, Allah kept on urging me on. He was cooperative with whatever he was asked to do. And he just kept on being there for me. And after a couple of tries, let's say like 4 or 5, you ask yourself, so where am I going? You know, for how long is this going to go on? Another thing I used to really concentrate on or look up to was my God. I'm a very spiritual person. And I've realized that with what I've been through, I'd had to lean closer to God, because with God, everything is possible. And I believe that with my faith in God, at least one day my wish will be granted. But after 5 years, after 6 years, what happens? And you keep on trying, and it keeps on failing, and you are getting on also in age, and you have the pressure from outside. But you know, one day Aladi called me and he said to me, sit down. I sat down. He said, you know what? I hear a lot of things people are saying. Some has got to do with me. Some has got to do with you. But you know what? I am your husband. And it doesn't matter what happens. I will still remain your husband. And I am with you in this all the way. So just keep on trying. So I remember after a couple of years, one day I said to him, Alhaji, you know what? I've come to the conclusion that God doesn't give us all. Emotionally, I feel drained. I'm tired because this treatment involves a lot of injections, a lot of medication. You have mood swings, all kinds of stuff. And then he said to me, well, I understand you. I feel for you. But have you been told that it's not possible? I said, no. He said, so why have you decided to abandon the whole thing? I said, well, I'm tired.
He said Alhaji called you and said, have you given up?
Yeah, he said, oh, why have you given up? And I'm like, well, I've tried several times, and I believe that God gives sometimes not all, and I have a good life. I'm happy, and I've tried. So, and at the end of the day, when we've achieved what we want, it will be priceless. No amount of money can pay for what you've got. So I started again, trying again, and then luckily, naturally, I got pregnant, just like that, out of the blue. And I couldn't even believe it, that after all this treatment, I could get pregnant naturally, only for me to lose the pregnancy after 6 months. You can't imagine. I was devastated, totally devastated. And ask me what happened. My womb, the cervix opened without my knowledge. And so the baby just aborted like that. I was devastated. I asked myself, I mean, how? Why? How could this happen? How am I going to deal with this? Wow. So I went through a period of depression for a bit. And then obviously Alhaji picked me up at some point, and I decided to try again. So that was when I said to him, I had had enough. So I want to just put an end to it and just continue my life. So he said no. So after I said that, a friend introduced us to this clinic in the US. So I said to myself, this would be my last try. And I went to the US. I followed through the treatment. It worked straight away. And Hanan Hani, God just granted me 2. I asked for 1, and he gave me 2.
How old are they now?
17.
Wow. Yes, I remember visiting you in the Swiss Cottage in London. Process in the US, and I like participation in it.
Yeah, it was the same process as in England, but it was just a different country and trying a different method. Yeah, the process was just the normal process, but God just heard my prayers. He answered me, and I was lucky, and I got my daughters. But you see, sometimes this situation, the infertility situation that most women find themselves in, in Africa is a very, very lonely journey. Very, very lonely and sensitive journey. Usually accept that the issue or the fault is from them. How many? Would your mother-in-law even accept that is the husband who is infertile? No. So usually, most of the time, the problem is on the women. And in my case, my husband was very, very supportive, extremely supportive. He was there from day one to today. And most men have to be like that. They have to. People can just talk about this issue. Sometimes even to speak about this issue is a big issue. So most women stay indoors. Most women go through this journey. Why should it be like that? You can't have children. You can adopt. You can't have children. There are so many other ways that you could go on. There are donor. There are men who have sperm banks. There are egg donation banks as well. I mean, there are situations where I've known sisters helping each other by donating their eggs to their sister. You're still from the same family. It's a child that you want, But if you talk about this, somebody's going to sit somewhere and say, oh, the child is going to be this is her sister who gave her the eggs. So what? Because when people go outside, you can buy donor eggs. You can buy donor sperms. But you see, we need to change our outlook on certain things. There are so many foundations for all sorts of women who are infertile. Do women feel free to come out and talk about this issue? And why not? We are each other's keeper. So my experience might help another woman. Why do women who talk about this issue, why are they so lonely? Why can't other people, be more accommodating to other women like that? Why can't they encourage other women like that? It could be a whole load of health issues that can lead to this problem. But you still need somebody. Sometimes you need a shoulder to cry on. But you see, what I will say for adults, you have to believe what God can do for you. You have to believe it. And you have to be strong. It is not everybody who is like me who has the character of, you can say what you like about me. I don't care. I don't get depressed easily because I'm not like that. I mean, I can say to you that I went through a lot of challenges, but I never let it sit on me. I never sat down and I said, people are talking about me, so I'm depressed. No. I think we should all try and help. I would love to set up a foundation like that, maybe at a point, to help women in that situation. There's so much I can say about this issue, but then I don't know. It's very emotional for me when I talk about this because it's difficult for a lot of women. I did an interview with Joycelyn Dumas, and we spoke a little bit about this. And I was amazed at how many people inboxed me like, Auntie B, I heard your interview. I'm facing problems like this.
You don't know what you are doing tonight to so many women all over the world. And I must salute your courage. Before we continue, we'll play some music again, just to cool down the tension. Thank you. We'll be back shortly.
I see a woman every day in the mirror. I see a woman every time I Everything woman, mother of nature. Yeah, beautiful woman. We are born, we believe. So we got to show you,
Makande mekanti sisi anu we can have a
Thank you, Becca of Africa. My very dear sister Becca. Yes, one of my favorite artists out of Ghana, Mama Africa. How are you doing, Becca? And my brother, Oluwatobiloba, Sonny. Yes, so, Godmother.
yes,
Let's move away from that and talk about something else that I know you love so much. You are a very fashionable lady. So can you talk?
Well, I love fine things. I love to look good, and most of all, I try to look after myself because beauty radiates from the inside out. That's what I believe. So I've always been one who's looked after themselves from a very tender age. I don't know what drove me, but I've always been somebody who's looked after myself, like from my early 20s. I look after my skin. You know, I just love myself. So I just try and look after myself well. Even more so now, I'm on. You won't believe. I try to go more natural. I take a lot of natural stuff. I'm drinking collagen, which is fantastic, and I think I also have good genes. Like I said, I look after myself even more so now, because when you are growing, a lot of things go down, and then also when you go through a lot of fertility treatments, a lot of things happen to your body. Those of us who've been through it, we go through an early menopause. That is whether you like it or not, because you are working most of my treatment in England. My doctors were like, good. So they give you the option of, listen, because you've gone through so many treatments, you might as well you might as well try and replace it. So I've always been on hormone replacement, anything to try and put my body mechanism back in place. So I'm always on top of the game. I'm always researching. I'm finding out what to my skin by using all sorts of hash products. I just look after myself. I love myself. So I look after myself, and I think I have good genes as well, because my mom is like almost 90. And, she doesn't look like someone who's 90. She also looks after herself. So I think the good genes also, it runs in the family as well. And God has been good. God has been gracious. He's been good. Very, very good.
We thank God always. We thank God always. Okay. Some people are telling me here that I should talk about your 40th birthday party. That unknown to many people, you changed how events are organized in Nigeria. And I agree with them. If the table cover, chair cover was at your party, and today no event can happen unless they do that in various colors, in gold, in red, in black, in white, the flowers. Can you tell us a bit about what it took to organize such a spectacular party? I remember the first time I met President John Ajekum Kufuor was at your party. I think was just about 5 days old in government, and he attended the party.
Wow. And I had seen events outside. So I said to myself, I would love to have something like this for my 40th. So it took me almost 2 years to plan it, because by then, like you said, there was nothing like chair covers and, table stuff. And because I was in England, I had to arrange for all that. I had to have chair covers made. I had to have sorts of unusual decorations made. I planned it. And I did say to Allah to remember. And Allah, he was like, okay, do what you want to do. I'll be by the side, ready to dish out. So he allowed me to do what I wanted to do. And it was a spectacular event. And then I'd seen Ovation. That was when I'd seen Ovation in London. So I spoke to a friend of mine. I said, to crown it all, I would like this magazine to cover it, because this is like the OK of Africa. And he said, don't worry. I know Chief Dele very well. I'll call him. He called you and you agreed, yes, I'll go to Ghana. And that was the beginning of our friendship. So I remember on the day before you came to Ghana, you came home, we met, and then that's how we became friends. But I had a florist who was flown in from England at the time. She came all the way from England to set up the flowers. I had table pieces that had to be ordered all the way from the US. And luckily it turned out to be a memorable event,
Wow. Before we run it up at 7, I think we're just a few minutes to 7. I would also like to thank you for cementing the bond between Nigeria and Ghana. I remember at the time I came, there was a lot of tension still about Nigeria and Ghana.
Yeah.
But your party brought us together, and then Ovation started doing stories. I met the former President Jerry John Rawlings, a man I like so much. And we became like family friends. I even invited him and his entire family to Nigeria. Thereafter, when he left, when Kufuor left, we had coming. And a lot of Nigerian banks today are employing so many Ghanaians. And I'm so proud. But a lot of people will not remember, so that's very hard to give positive image to both countries. And I just want to thank you, because if you had not reached out at that time to Ovation, maybe a lot of the things happening now. People, you want to tell your fans out there, of course, I know that a lot of Nigerians like to hear from you all the time. So, we take it, then I'll play music.
I want to take this opportunity. I remember you did an interview. I don't remember which one it was, but there was an interview you did, and it was just about me. So you asked me, about this issue of the childbirth, because I hadn't had kids at the time. And I said to you, I spoke candidly about it, some of my prayers. And then I said to you, sometimes when you have a situation and you talk about it, people in our language, which is, it's like, it means when you sell your story, sometimes you find a solution. And I believe that it was all the prayers, people feeling sorry for me, that helped me to get where I am today in terms of, having my children. So I would like to say a big thank you. I've seen so many of my friends there all saying nice things about me. I love all of them, and I'm so happy they tuned in here with me today. So I wish everybody well and God's blessing. And to you, Chief, you've been like, I don't know what to say. Today I looked on your page and I'm like, what is he trying to do? I know you like to celebrate everybody or anybody you love. And I thank you so much for being who you are. You've also made me popular. If it wasn't for your magazine, who would know me? And your magazine is read like worldwide. And you have made me popular. So thank you so much for being who you are and for making me also who I am. And God bless you. I know you're also turning 60 very soon. You know my wishes for you already. God has brought you far, and I know he's going to take you places. Just keep on being who you are. One thing I want to commend you on is your loyalty. It is next to nothing. Just continue being who you are. God bless you, Chief.
God bless you. God bless you. I must also remember to thank you that when I lost my mother in 2007, you and others, Steve and Penelope, Yoga, Auntie Gloria Battles, you all came all the way to my mother's village in Bogon. May God bless you forever. My love to
Chief, for you, I will do anything. We're just waiting that everything should calm down so that we come and celebrate you in grand style because you deserve it and more. You are such a wonderful human being. Your loyalty is what blows me away.
Thank you. Thank you. Godmother, thank you. My love to
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. And to all my fans, I love this one's for